Imagine standing in front of the mirror with hate, frustration, and guilt.
Do you like the person you see in the mirror?
Feels like an endless void, trapped alone, stressed to the max. In fact, if you take away the mirror and exchange it for the real world, it really doesn't make any difference, does it? Think of it. How eroded your self-esteem becomes day after day, doing what feels good in the moment instead of actually what is good for you. Instead of choosing to make a change today, we habitually look at porn, fill ourselves with donuts, or take the next drink or drug, or anything really, just to keep our minds occupied and away from the anger, anxiety, and depression we are filled with. We hate looking at the truth, but if we are so good at numbing our pain, how come so many of us feel like it is never enough to actually love ourselves? So why do we get angry? And how can we change that? So a problem, it seems, is that as men, we are quick to express our anger and frustration, even when deep down we are sad and fearful. But more often than not, the deeper we suppress these feelings, and the stronger these feelings want to be heard, the worse it gets. Society tells us that it is okay to get angry, but to never show weaknesses like crying or vulnerability, especially in public. The stress and bills pile on, creating an awful loop of more pain, stress, frustration, and anger. Then we spend hours and hours speaking to our therapists, and they ask us about what's making us feel bad. And that only makes us feel worse. Then we point fingers at others, but deep down we know that we are the source of our own problems. But in order for anger to not rule our lives, we have to understand it better. Anger is rooted deep in the human psyche, and I believe it was originally developed to help us protect ourselves and motivate us to change things that we don't like. Anger, like fire, can be used for good or for bad. It's the way that we use it. When we get angry, blood flow travels away from our prefrontal cortex to a more primal area of our brain called the amygdala, known as our threat detector. Amygdala sends messages to our hypothalamus, which ultimately communicates to our pituitary gland in our brain, which then releases high levels of the stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, putting us in the mode of the fight, flight, freeze response. In a split second, our sympathetic nervous system activates, speeding up our heart rate, increasing our blood pressure, tensing our muscles, dilating our pupils, increasing our breathing rate, and sending blood flow to our extremities to help us fight. Perceived anger, regardless of whether that threat is real or imagined, takes blood flow away from our prefrontal cortex, as I mentioned, making us more impulsive and decreases our ability to make rational decisions. The angrier we get, the less intelligent we become. But how can we overcome the dragon that keeps growing in power? I mentioned before how I believe that meditation saved my life. Combining meditation and deep breathing together changed everything. The science is clear as day. Research proves that in only 56 days of meditation, the physical structure of your brain will change, making you kinder to yourself and more compassionate. Compassion is the polar opposite of anger. Developing compassion is like throwing water onto the fire of anger. Meditation allowed me to slow down and become more aware of the angry thoughts I was having. This makes sense because meditation and deep breathing send more oxygen to your prefrontal cortex, allowing positive neuroplasticity to begin. Not only that, meditation helped me break the cycle of insomnia, improved my focus, mental clarity, and overall the person I was. I understand that meditation doesn't stick for all of us. It can sound intimidating, but at its root, it's all about becoming more aware of your body's sensations and thoughts. But experiment the style that you enjoy the most. Meditation is a very broad category, which is like saying eat fruits. Which type of fruit are you going to try to eat first? Another solution I found was picking up the pen and pad and journaling. Writing is being able to separate yourself from your angry thoughts and the emotion of anger. You start to pick up patterns about yourself, about bringing more awareness to what triggers you, and what are the common themes that causes all of your anger. You see that thoughts and emotions are always changing. Nothing is forever, not even anger. It allows you to see a window into the deep abyss of your subconscious mind. This is why I journal early in the morning, because my brain is in a theta state, which is the door to your subconscious mind. Once again, bringing light to the problem is the easiest and fastest way, and may be the only way that we can change it. If we don't know what our issues are, it's impossible to change them. Personally, for me, exercise has been a godsend, allowing me to shift from low or angry energy to positive energy. Exercise is like fighting the fire of anger with fire, and it works. Exercise releases dopamine, epinephrine, and serotonin into your brain, making you feel better about yourself. High-intensity exercise in particular gets me going. Things like jumping rope, doing burpees, lifting weights, climbing, or dancing. It allows me to get blood flowing, my heart racing, and to sweat out the toxins I may have put into my body in the past. It brings me out of the survival flight stage where I'm angry at the world, and instead I thrive and am in a state of gratitude. Getting outside in nature is another way to separate yourself from anger. There's just something to being in solitude with your thoughts away from the busy world that helps you see what your frustrations are and what are those that are being caused from being around a negative environment and the people you're surrounded by. The sun is the most powerful energy source that we have access to. It gives us vitamin D, from which gives you a lot of serotonin, helping you regulate your sleep-wake cycle and your mood. Nature vibrates at a different frequency, a more calming alpha frequency, and we are influenced by that. Simply put, we are a part of nature, and nature allows us to calm down. Try out some of what I mentioned before, like journaling, meditation, or exercise, or getting out in nature. Pick any of them. Usually, anger is a beast that cannot be tamed by one strategy alone. However, it is important to know that it can be tamed. Experiment. The most important thing is to start experimenting today. Let me know how they work out for you. Be well, and most importantly, make today a blessed and great one.